Okay.
Hello. Sorry.
Welcome to this channel. I am Dr. Steven de Vos, the lifting dermatologist, and this is my bro science hunting partner Danny Bossa. If you want to learn more about the most cutting-edge science-based information in the world of hormone optimization, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss anything. I also invite you to join my other YouTube channel, The Lifting Dermatologist. The link you can find in the description of this video.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the TRT and Hormone Optimization channel. My name is Danny Bossa. I'm joined with my partner in crime, Steven de Vos, out in Belgium. We're trying to make some more content. We're trying to get some better content. We're both been heavily overworked. You can see I haven't even had a chance to shave in 3 days, and I look kind of beaten and battered. And it's very late right now for Steven, so we're just going to try to make a really fast video, just to give you an idea what we have in mind. So we want to start getting a lot more interesting guests. Not that the previous guests were not interesting, but we're trying to get a lot more of them. So I've reached out to a whole bunch of people that you've probably heard of online that maybe have their own channels, or people in pro bodybuilding or celebrities or whatever. I've reached out to a whole bunch of people to come on and maybe discuss their experiences with TRT and hormones and all this type of stuff. And then there's a couple of people who've reached out to as well that have very differing views on TRT, such as keeping everything in range, or trying to chase a number, or blocking E2, or whatever the hell it is, that they can maybe come on and voice why they have these concerns and why they do it that way, and we can offer our I guess mentality, if you will, and see if it can maybe make for an interesting discussion. So I wanted to just really quickly bring up some of the stuff that I see in our Facebook group. If you're not in the Facebook group yet, please check it out. It's called TRT and Hormone Optimization. You can just look it up on Facebook. It's a group. You just click join. It's completely free. You just got to answer 3 questions to get in. If you ignore the questions, we're going to just assume that you're not really all that interested, and we're not going to let you in. So please do your best. Just answer those 3 questions. You can get in. There's physicians in there, researchers, guys like me and Steven. They'll help you with your questions and stuff. The thing is that some of you get into these groups, and what you do is you won't take a look around whatsoever as to what has already been discussed or asked or answered in the group. So I'll frequently see stuff like, "Hi, I'm new. What is TRT?" And I'll decline that, because people are just going to say, "Well, what do you mean? You haven't looked into this. You haven't, by all means, you should go on Google and at least have some kind of basic knowledge as to what some of these things are. What is E2, and what is estrogen, and what is testosterone, and what is a blood test, and what are different ways of injecting, and what are different ways of administering, and all these types of things. Just get a general idea. Now, when you join the group, if you've got a question, you might want to just scroll down and just see, what's been discussed previously. Use the search or find function on the left. If you have a question about thyroid, type thyroid in there, and you'll see all the discussions where thyroid has come up. And chances are it may have already been asked and answered many, 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 many times. So we don't necessarily want to have the same questions being asked every single day and the same answers, because otherwise the group gets very boring. So the guys in the group right now, they've gotten very good at just looking for stuff that's already been asked. So we're not just doing the repetitive, redundant stuff. So I ask you guys do the same. I also have some of you that come in and say, I've been on TRT for 3 weeks. And, for the first week I was doing this, and for the second week I was doing that, and the third week now I'm doing this, and it's not working, which is never going to work. I'll explain to you in a sec. Other guys will say, "Hey, I've been on TRT for 2 months and it's not working. What should I do?" You really, really need to provide details as much as possible. You want to give, details as to exactly what your protocol is, what you're doing, what is your dose, how often you're dosing, as many things as possible. Just bear with me 1 sec. Sorry about that. The more details you provide, the better it's going to be. So if you just say, "This is all I'm doing," and you're not really giving us any information, we're not going to be able to help. So I'm doing tests. Are you doing injections? Are you doing a cream? Is it daily? Is it weekly? How much daily? Are you injecting at IM, or you just give us some kind of details and we can help you out. The guys that come in that are saying, I did this 1 week and that didn't work, and this the other week didn't work, and this the other week, what should I do? You got to keep in mind that this is not, like I keep saying in a lot of the videos that we do, this is not like, I'm tired, let me drink an espresso, and then 10 minutes later, it's like, oh, I'm awake. Okay, great. This espresso did its job. It doesn't work that way. An analogy I came up with the other day is I want you to think of a swimming pool and a really big rock. Okay, this is going to sound stupid, but I like analogies where I make something like really dumb and stupid and easy to understand that anybody can just listen to and say, okay, that I understand. So when you're starting a protocol, I want you to think of the protocol as that big rock. Okay, so you decide, all right, I'm going to do, daily injections, and I'm going to do 20 milligrams a day, and I'm definitely not going to take an AI or anything that's going to block estrogen because I know it's stupid. And I'm not going to take HCG. I'm just going to do this 20 milligrams a day. I want to see what this does, let's say. Imagine you're throwing this rock into the swimming pool. So you throw it in, and now the swimming pool, the waves are just going all over the place, okay? You got to now give it time for those waves to settle. And those waves typically take somewhere between 6 to 8 weeks to settle. Like it literally does, okay? 6 to 8 weeks to settle. Now, if you wait a week or you wait 2 weeks and you're like, oh, I'm still kind of all upside down. Well, yeah, you're upside down because imagine those waves are still going. If you decide that you're going to change something, it's kind of like you're saying, well, now I'm going to add DHEA in this. Okay, so you're now taking another big stone and you're throwing it in the water. And now you're starting that 6 to 8 week process all over again, okay? And what a lot of you are doing is you just keep changing stuff. So those waves are just always going, always going, always going. And you're never really getting to a point to see what was the outcome, where the waves have settled and the water is nice and clear and like mirror finish, and assess what's going on before making your new plan, okay? If you keep doing that, it's just gonna take you that much longer to get things figured out. You just wanna say, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna commit to this for 6 to 8 weeks, good or bad, maybe I'll feel good, maybe I'll feel like crap, whatever it is, but I'm gonna give it 6 to 8 weeks. And then once the dust settles and the water has settled down, I'm going to see what's what, and then I'm going to decide what I want to change. And I'm going to put a lot of thought into what I want to change. And when I finally have figured it out, I'm going to commit to it and like, all right, here's my protocol. I'm going to throw that in, and I'm going to now give it another 6 to 8 weeks. Okay. If, like I said, you keep changing stuff all the time and making changes, I'm telling you, this is going to take you years until you're feeling better. The same thing with you guys that have said, I got off my AI and I don't feel good. Give it 6 to 8 weeks. There's guys in the group I've spoken to that 6 weeks later, they said, I have zero libido. This AI not blocking stuff is nonsense. And I said, just give it time. Just give it time. And they messaged me 2 weeks later and they said, it's 8 weeks. And I'm like this, I'm everything works. It takes literally 6 to 8 weeks. Anything before that, ignore it. It could be good, could be bad. Wait to 6 to 8 weeks. Okay, guys, this is absolutely, absolutely key.
Excellent advice, Danny. Excellent advice.
Yeah. Do you want to add something to that, Stephen, or?
Well, you know that Keith said start every hormone at the same time because you want all these hormones to work and to give their benefits. But I tend to agree that you should only change one thing at a time, because how the hell will you ever know what's working, what is not? And especially with the feel-good hormones, with the thyroid, with testosterone, with the things that really will influence your mind, your libido, and so on.
Absolutely, absolutely. The other thing you got to keep in mind that I know a lot of you are, you look at this thing as way more complicated than it is. Now that I know what I know like this is just the most retardedly simple, stupid thing you could possibly do. Do daily, don't block E2, don't worry about all these numbers, just find a dose that works for you. And when you feel like, hey, I'm sleeping and libido good, his energy is good, and I'm putting on some muscle mass and everything is great. This fly is so annoying. That's when you say, I'm optimized, I'm good, I have no issues, okay? But a lot of you just feel like it's more complicated than this. You say, well, what Danny is saying, there's got to be more to it than that, so to speak. And even if you get to that point, you say, well, how can I make things better? Should I be increasing my dose? Or maybe I can add this, or I can add this, and all this type of stuff. You start going on other sites, start seeing a lot of people posting studies of about a whole bunch of different types of stuff. And like, we'll say, well, here's a study that this guy here had high estrogen, and look, he had cardiovascular disease. And look at this one here. This guy had low testosterone, and he had this and this issue, okay? You guys really need to learn the difference between observational studies and interventional studies. And the majority of the studies you're going to see in these forums are observational studies. And if you can learn what the difference is, and the difference is simple, I'll explain in a sec, you'll realize that probably 90% of the studies that we look at for this stuff are completely useless. I'm going to give you an example, simple example. They have a study where they took a bunch of men that had low testosterone and had high estrogen. And they said, these men, virtually all of them had cardiovascular disease. Therefore, high estrogen is associated with cardiovascular disease. Now, if you don't know anything, you're going to look at that and say, wow, so, I don't want cardiovascular disease, so I better lower my estrogen. It doesn't work that way. They're just saying it's associated. They saw cardiovascular disease, they saw high estrogen, and they just assumed that this guy was the cause of this guy, okay? And it does not work like that in the least. If you think of guys that have low testosterone and high estrogen, what does that mean? It means that they're probably not healthy, okay? A healthy guy is going to have decent levels of testosterone, all right? If he's got a deficiency, he may have low levels of testosterone because he's got a deficiency, but his estrogen probably won't really be all that high. High estrogen is typically caused by people that are obese or overweight or fat. The more fat that you have, the more of this aromatase enzyme you have, and the more estrogen is caused. So as soon as I see a study that has 100 men, low testosterone, high estrogen, I immediately think those guys are probably fat, okay? Fat people will probably have cardiovascular disease. So, it's not the high estrogen that's causing the cardiovascular disease, it's the fact that they are fat that are causing the estrogen, okay? So an observational study would be, we saw these guys with high estrogen and they had cardiovascular disease, so therefore estrogen is associated with cardiovascular. They're making an observation. Making an observation is kind of useless, and I'll explain to you why. Grab these same guys, and we're going to do a new study with these exact same guys. We're going to give these guys testosterone. And by giving these guys testosterone, because some of the testosterone is going to convert into estrogen, their already high levels of estrogen are probably going to go up even more, right? Because they're going to we're raising both. As soon as you raise testosterone, you're also raising estrogen. So now their estrogen has gone up, their testosterone's gone up, and now they're doing better. In every single study where they actually gave testosterone, and by giving testosterone, they also ends up raising their estrogen, they improved. This is an interventional study. An interventional study is saying, I'm going to grab a group of guys and I'm going to assess where they're at. And then I'm going to give them this stuff. And I'm going to give them this stuff for a week or 6 weeks or 2 months or a year, whatever it is. And then I'm going to measure what the outcome was. Okay? So an interventional study is, it took a group of healthy guys, 100 guys, I gave them all rat poison, and 3 days later they all died. Okay? That's an interventional study. We did something interventional. We gave them something, and this was the effect. Here's 100 guys. We gave them testosterone. We measured them after. Oh, their estrogen went up. Their testosterone went up, and they're all doing better across the board. That is an interventional study. So these studies that you see about this was observed or this is associated. One guy told me, guys in Africa, they have high testosterone and they have a lot of diabetes. So high testosterone is associated. I don't care what it's associated with. What's causing the high diabetes? Because guess what? The guys that I know that are on TRT, their risk of diabetes is greatly reduced by having higher levels of testosterone. Okay, we're seeing it all the time. So, we're giving these guys testosterone, and anything involving any risk of diabetes is going down drastically. Okay, so we can't now say it's causing diabetes when we give it to them, it lowers it. Okay, you really need to learn the difference. If you're in these forums and someone says, well, I got this study that shows that I should be blocking estrogen, look, because it was associated. No, you don't. Show me a study where they gave it to them and things went wrong. We don't have any of those. We don't have a single study that they gave testosterone and things went wrong. The other thing you got to also keep in mind is that in all the medical literature, when they do these studies where they give testosterone and they improved, they're not saying we gave them X amount of testosterone, but we also gave them an AI. They don't give the AI. There's nothing in the medical literature that ever suggests giving an AI. There's none. If you think there is, please look me up on Facebook. I tell everybody, look me up on Facebook, or comment on this video if you'd like. Danny Bossa on Facebook. You can look me up, send me a message, comment on this video, and you could send me a study. Here's a study I have where they gave it and things went south, because we don't have any of those. I'd love to find one, but we don't. So again, difference between observational and interventional is huge. You need to be able to distinguish the difference. Don't just read the title and say, oh, this is this and that, and just assume that you know what the study is. Read the damn study. Yes, I know it's long and it's technical, but go through it. And when you get to the end, you might say, but this guy was really overweight and all he did is this, and his testosterone was really low. And there's a lot of these factors that you said, yeah, but if he was on TRT, things would make sense. One other thing, a lot of guys keep talking about the clinical range. They say, well, the clinical range for estrogen is 20 to 30 or whatever it is. That clinical range is for men that are not on TRT, guys, all right? Just as the clinical range for TRT, for testosterone is right now 300 to like 900, okay? That's the range that we're seeing out in the wild, if you will. That's the range that we're seeing. If you grab a sample of 1,000 men, that's pretty much where they're situated. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're healthy, because every year this range is dropping. So no, I'm sorry, the typical man is not healthy. When you're taking TRT, your levels are gonna get quite a bit higher than that, because that is actually what's healthy, all right? We had a video last week where we discussed in 2006, the high range of total T was at 1,600. And that was in 2006. You can imagine what it must have been like in 1980 or 1950 before EDCs and pollutants and chemicals and all this type of stuff. So if the healthy levels of testosterone are a lot higher than our sick clinical range, and I can demonstrate that in a million different ways if you'd like, if you ask me, that you also have to understand that the clinical range for estrogen is also not the same. That is a range for guys that are not on TRT. So if I'm raising my testosterone and I'm bringing it up to 15 or 1,600 or 1,700 or whatever it is, I have to assume that my estrogen is going to follow suit and it's going to come up. And the body's going to keep this in balance. So my estrogen is probably at 60, right? Because my test is here. And that's just the way that it works. So you can't say, well, that's too high, because you're just going back to the numbers of the sick population, all right? So this whole number of ranges, forget about it. Healthy range right now for testosterone, again, you take as much as you need to make symptoms go away, but typically the guys I'm seeing are usually in the 1,500s, 1,600s. Their free T is typically above 30 NGDL and not PGML. There's a huge difference. Learn the difference between the two. NGDL. By the way, if you're getting your blood tested from LabCorp, they are making an error. They are reporting it in PGML, but it's actually in NGDL. Okay, so if you see 30 PGML and saying, oh, wow, that's only 3 NGDL, no, it means 30 NGDL. They're just putting PGML by accident. So again, if you're confused by that, send me a message, comment on the video. I'll help you out. Again, I messaged also on the last video, if you are a doctor anywhere in the world, really, and you feel like you know this TRT stuff well, and you feel like you can help people, please, by all means, comment the video, look me up on Facebook, send me a message, say you would like to be part of this. We can have a discussion. If we can establish that you really do know this stuff, I'll definitely love to have you on the channel. If you have a position that differs wildly from the stuff that we're discussing on this channel, please, by all means, something else. I'd love to have you on, because I love arguing, okay? And sometimes I'm argued into corner and I say, hey, you know what? You're right. You've demonstrated this to me. And maybe I'll teach you something. Maybe you'll teach me something. Maybe we'll teach each other something. So that's pretty much it. Anything you'd like to add, Dr. Devos?
No, thank you, Danny. I think you made some very good points for everyone in the group. So there's a lot online, of course. There's a lot of bro science. There's a lot of other Facebook groups where we're already blocked out of because of yeah, we try to stay evidence-based, but as soon as someone says yes, it's like this or like this, and they're always using observational stuff or even their own observations, they think they are the one subject and all the others are wrong. So yeah, you made some very good points there. So
Cool.
for everyone watching this video, please comment in the comment section below if you have any other questions or proposals for me or Danny to bring guests on, or if you have specific questions. And of course, you can always join our Facebook group with the same name as this channel. So thank you so much, Danny, for your points and knowledge today.
Great. And guys, definitely subscribe because I already have some pretty interesting guests lined up, and I've reached out to some other really interesting guests. I'm being very ambitious with the type of people that I'm inviting. So definitely subscribe so you don't miss anything. All right.
And we'll do some more live streams with Q&A soon. Okay.
Very good. Okay, guys, you have yourself a good night, and we'll see you soon.